Hey everybody, the elections are coming up and the Democrats just showed their hands of what they plan on doing, not if, but when they have the majority again. It's not like it's never going to happen again. So when they tell you who they are, believe them. Follow along. Kamala Harris, yes, her, she just said the quiet part out loud again. And if you care about the Constitution, the separation of powers, the Electoral College, or the future of the Supreme Court, you need to pay very close attention to what she said this week. Former Vice President Kamala Harris floated what she called a no bad idea brainstorm. Coming from her, that says a lot. And it's for the Democrats going into the future. And inside that brainstorm were some of the most radical structural changes to the United States structure and government we've heard openly discussed by a major national Democrat in quite some time. We're talking about eliminating or working around the Electoral College, expanding the Supreme Court. And for those who might not really truly understand what the Electoral College is, and why it's set up and why it's a good thing, you got some homework to do. Maybe I'll do a video on it at some point, but you got some homework to do. It's there for a specific reason. And like I said, she also talked about expanding the Supreme Court, multi-member congressional districts, which would be horrible, statehood for DC and Puerto Rico, which would be terrible, new restrictions on the punishments surrounding Supreme Court confirmations. And folks, this isn't just politics anymore. It's a direct conversation about fundamentally reshaping the constitutional framework of the United States. And there's a new constitutional amendment that was just submitted about this too, which I'm going to tell you about. So stay tuned. Watch this through the end because there's a lot in this video. But first, in a time when freedom is under fire, you need fuel that matches your fight. Blackout coffee roasted right here in America for those who stand ready. Strong, bold, unapologetic, packed with the caffeine punch that patriots demand, whether you are defending the Constitution or just gearing up for another day of liberty. It's more than coffee, it's fuel for the free. Head on over to blackoutcoffee.com/GNG and use my code GNG10 to save some money on your order. Stay awake, stay armed, and stay American. All right, guys, here's the clip you need to watch. Check it out.
I think that we need an expanded playbook in a way that we invite all ideas, that we have basically, that we say, this is a moment where there are no bad ideas. A no bad idea brainstorm is what I'd like to call it. And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around the Electoral College. We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court. We invite a conversation about multi-members districts.
Now, Harris's remarks during that live stream with Win with Black Women, Harris called for what she described as an expanded playbook and said Democrats should have a no bad ideas brainstorm. She specifically referenced conversations around the Electoral College and Supreme Court expansion. Now, before we get deeper into that, if you're new here, welcome to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news and constitutional analysis. On my channel, I don't just talk about gun rights. I talk about the constitutional structure that protects all of our rights. Because once government figures out how to bypass one constitutional safeguard, the rest can fall like dominoes. So if you appreciate honest reporting from a constitutionalist perspective, hit the subscribe button, join this freedom-loving community, and let's get into it. And I don't care what side of the aisle you vote on, Republican, Democrat, Independent. If you love the Constitution, the structure of America, you should be part of this growing freedom family here. Now, the first thing people need to understand is this. The Electoral College is not an accident. It was not a bug in the system. It was intentionally created by the founders as a buffer against pure mob rule and against large population centers controlling the entire nation. Kind of like the blue states, that's what's happening. They never wanted that to happen across the country, because the United States is not a direct democracy. It's a constitutional republic. And that distinction matters a whole lot. The framers understood something that modern politicians either ignore or deliberately pretend not to understand. Pure democracy can become tyrannical very, very quickly when temporary majorities realize they can vote themselves power over everyone else. The Electoral College forces presidential candidates to build broad coalitions across states, regions, cultures, and interests. Without it, a handful of massive urban centers would effectively dominate presidential elections permanently. And that's what the left wants. And let's be very honest here. Most of the people calling for the abolition of the Electoral College are only doing so because they believe it benefits them politically. If the system suddenly favored Republicans, these same people would suddenly discover the wisdom of federalism overnight. Now, Harris didn't explicitly say abolish in the exact phrasing that I showed you, but she openly promoted discussions around doing things around the Electoral College. And that language matters, guys and gals. When they show you who they are, believe them. Because we've heard this before. For years, progressive activists have pushed the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which is essentially an attempt to bypass the Electoral College without formally amending the Constitution. Virginia just signed on to this. Virginia, if this pact keeps growing, if you win the popular vote, even though you don't win the Electoral College side, they're just going to give the popular person the votes. I guess when it's a Democrat. But when it's a Republican, they're going to fight tooth and nail not to do that. Others openly advocate constitutional amendments to eliminate it entirely. But and that's not the amendment I'm going to tell you about here. But here's where this becomes especially dangerous for us firearms owners. The Electoral College protects smaller and more rural states that tend to be more supportive of the Second Amendment, unless you consider like the small states like Rhode Island and Connecticut and stuff like that. But without it, presidential politics would become overwhelmingly concentrated in population-heavy urban regions where anti-gun sentiment is the strongest. And that means the balance of power shifts dramatically. And the same people who already want national assault weapon bans and magazine bans and licensing schemes and federal registration systems, well, they would gain even more centralized political influence. And if you think that wouldn't affect the Supreme Court, that brings us to the second bombshell here, court packing. That's right, it's on the menu. Harris openly referenced Supreme Court reform, including expanding the court itself. Now let's call it what it is. It's court packing. Because nobody is talking about expanding the court due to efficiency. Nobody is saying the Supreme Court is overwhelmed with workload. They barely even work half of what their previous courts did. Nobody's arguing that 9 justices are mathematically incapable of handling cases. The only reason people want to add seats is because they don't like the current ideological makeup of the court. That's it. They want more liberals on there. They want more leftists on there. They want more Marxists on there. And that's incredibly important for the Second Amendment community because the Supreme Court is currently the single biggest institutional barrier preventing full-scale national gun confiscation policies. I mean, think about it. Without decisions like D.C. versus Heller, McDonald versus Chicago, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, I mean, where would the Second Amendment be right now? Bruin alone completely changed the legal framework surrounding gun laws by forcing courts to evaluate firearms restrictions through the text, history, and tradition of the Constitution. That decision shattered the old interest balancing game that lower courts were using just to rubber stamp every single piece of anti-gun law imaginable. And many of us saw what really was taking place because the left absolutely hate that. So what happens if you can't win through constitutional interpretation? Well, then you try to change the court itself. That's the game. And historically, Americans have viewed court packing as dangerous for a reason. Even President Franklin Roosevelt's attempt to expand the court in the 1930s generated massive backlash, including from members of his own party, because Americans understood the implications. Once one side starts adding seats for political advantage, the court stops being viewed as an independent judiciary and becomes just another political weapon. Then every administration tries to outpack the previous one. That destroys institutional legitimacy and would destroy the country. Now, Harris and others frame this as reform, often pointing to ethics rules or alleged imbalance. But let's be intellectually honest with each other. If the court had a 6-3 progressive majority, striking down voter ID laws and national reciprocity restrictions or expanding federal authority over firearms, nobody on the left would be demanding expansion. No, they would be praising the Supreme Court. It's all about outcomes, not principle. And there's another part of the conversation most people are missing. Harris also referenced statehood for Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. Again, this is framed publicly as representation and fairness, but politically, everyone understands the implications. Adding new states changes Senate representation permanently. That affects judicial confirmations, federal legislation, affects gun policy nationally. Everything is connected. And here's what should concern every constitutionalist watching this. We are increasingly hearing major political figures openly discussing ways to structurally alter constitutional safeguards whenever those safeguards produce the outcomes that they dislike. Didn't win the Electoral College? Change it. Supreme Court ruled against your politics? Expand it. Senate composition unfavorable? Add states. This is not how constitutional restraint works. The Constitution was intentionally designed to slow power down, to decentralize authority, to create friction against rapid political swings. The founders feared concentrated federal power for a reason. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please watch my Federalist Paper series and my Anti-Federalist Paper series. There's been hundreds of hours have gone into that research and going through stuff I learned in college and before that and regurgitating it so that it's easily understood by you and your children and your family. So please watch that. It'll remind you of what these men were going through, why they were doing it, what their concerns were, because they wrote them down. That's why the Bill of Rights exists, thanks to the Anti-Federalists. That's why the 10th Amendment exists. That's why the Second Amendment exists. The right to keep and bear arms is ultimately the final check against government overreach. And history shows us that governments rarely expand power and then voluntarily surrender it later. Now, to be fair, supporters of Harris and these proposals argue that modern demographic and political realities require institutional changes. And some also point to recent Supreme Court decisions involving voting rights and redistricting as justification for broader reforms. And Harris has intimated that she's going to run for president again. But constitutional conservatives would argue the answer to disagreement is persuasion and elections, not restructuring institutions every time power shifts. Because once that cycle begins, brothers and sisters, it never stops. And folks, this is why constitutional literacy matters so much right now. A lot of Americans have never actually read the Constitution or the Federalist Papers or the Anti-Federalist Papers. If they had, they'd understand that many of the outdated systems, they call them, outdated systems in quotes, many of the things that people complain about were specifically created to restrain centralized authority. That was the entire point. The framers did not trust concentrated federal power. And honestly, after watching modern Washington for the last several decades, can you blame them? So here's the bottom line. This isn't just a debate about elections or courts. It's a debate about whether America remains a constitutional republic with checks and balances or becomes a system where whichever party gains temporary power simply rewrites the rules to entrench itself further. And gun owners should be paying attention, very close attention, because the Second Amendment is always one of the first targets when centralized power expands, which is why staying informed matters. It's why civic engagement matters. It's why channels like mine and people who do the same thing matter. Let me tell you about, there's a constitutional amendment that's going to be submitted. I'm waiting for the actual writing. They haven't published the writing yet. It's called the Robe Act. ROBE, like a judge's robe. And it's 18-year term limits in the Supreme Court. Now, for those, whatever you think, that's fine. But it has to be done with a constitutional amendment because the Constitution says that the federal justices serve in good, as long as they're in good faith, they can serve for life. So that's on the books. It's being submitted again. Of course, I don't think it goes anywhere, but the attack is in full swing, so please see that. If you got value out of this video, hit the subscribe button, share this with somebody who still believes that the Constitution matters, and let me know in the comments, do you believe the Electoral College and the current structure of the Supreme Court are essential constitutional safeguards? Or do you think they should fundamentally be changed? I really want to know where you stand. Again, as always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay armed, and stay free. I will see you in the next one. Take care.